Flood devastation. 800,000 catties of fish dead in Hebei. Typhoon Kanu makes a 90-degree sharp turn and will enter China. 14 killed in heavy rainfall in Shulan. Jilin. China faces bizarre weather phenomena. Devil clouds and a blue sun. Intrigue. China's economy in turmoil. Biden will order restrictions on investment in China next week. Disaster-affected people in Dingxing County, Hebei Province, were violently suppressed by special police for defending their rights. All will be covered today in China Undercover. Flood devastation. 800,000 catties of fish dead in Hebei. Continuous heavy rainfall has led to severe flooding in the county-level city of Zuozu, under Baoding City in Hebei Province. A local fishery company in Suzhou has suffered greatly, with around 800,000 pounds of fish dying due to the floods. The dead fish have piled up and need urgent cleaning, but the strong odor is deterring anyone from taking on the task. According to a report by Extreme Vision News, the fishery farm is located in Shiqiao Village, Beishigangwan Town, Zhuzhou City. The farm covers nearly 100 acres and breeds various fish species, including yellowfish and sturgeon, totaling about 800,000 pounds. Many of these fish have been bred for years and used for breeding purposes. Since the flooding hit Zhuzhou, all the fish on Mr. Kiwi's farm have been killed by the floodwaters. A large portion of the fish have been washed away by the flood, and the remaining ones are being collected by over 20 workers on the farm. It's estimated that even with their efforts, it will take around 10 days to finish collecting, said Mr. Kui. He added that the entire farm was submerged by the flood, resulting in an estimated loss of tens of millions of Chinese yuan. Mr. Q reported the destruction of his fishery to local government authorities after the flood. He mentioned that a professional organization will handle the safe disposal of the dead fish. Currently, the main challenge faced by the farm is the lack of manpower to collect the dead fish. The fish started to smell bad on the 4th day after the flood. If not dealt with, the smell will only get worse, causing pollution to the environment and potentially triggering diseases, Mr. Qi explained. A staff member from the Agricultural Bureau of Zuozu City responded, saying that since the 3rd day, they have issued notifications to various aquaculture and fisheries enterprises to conduct assessments and plan for the next steps. There are too many affected people. We are working tirelessly to deal with the dead cattle and sheep and are unable to provide manpower assistance, the staff member added. Typhoon Kanu makes a 90-degree sharp turn and will enter China. The heavy rainfall and flooding caused by Typhoon Dusure have not yet receded, and now Typhoon Kanu is also approaching China, causing concerns. The Central Meteorological Observatory's forecast for August 7 states that Typhoon Kanu has suddenly changed direction and will enter China in the coming days, bringing significant precipitation to the northern regions. This will undoubtedly exacerbate the flood situation in the northeast of China. The Central Meteorological Observatory continued to issue a blue typhoon warning on August 7, indicating that Typhoon Kanu has made a sudden change in direction, turning towards the north after being over the southwestern waters of Japan. It will approach the southern coast of the Korean Peninsula, and its intensity will also increase. Regarding the sudden 90-degree turn of Typhoon Kanu, Chinese weather meteorologist Wang Wei Leaps explained that it is highly likely that Kanu will land on the Korean Peninsula before entering mainland China. Regardless of its final path adjustment, it will bring significant rainfall to the northeastern region of China starting from August 10. Since its formation, Typhoon Kanu has experienced frequent anomalies. It has been 11 days since its formation on July 28, while the typical lifespan of a typhoon is around 6 to 7 days. Moreover, the path of Kanu has been quite peculiar, with multiple significant changes in direction. A Chinese weather enthusiast posted on Weibo. In the past few days, the projected path shifted from Tokyo, Japan, all the way west to South Korea, rapidly reducing the likelihood of it hitting Japan. Following this trend, it might adjust again and return to make landfall in our country. Typhoon Kanu will worsen northeast floods, Chinese meteorologist Wang Wei Leaps explained that looking at the accumulated rainfall in the northeastern region over the past 5 days, central and southern Heilongjiang, northern and central western Jilin, and eastern Liaoning have all received over 50 millimeters of accumulated rainfall, with some areas like southern Harbin, Mudanjiang, northern Jiang, northern Jilin, and northern Yanbian receiving nearly or over 100 millimeters. He warned that from the 10th to the 12th, influenced by the westerly trough and the effects of Kanu, the eastern and northern parts of northeastern China will experience heavy rain or torrential rain, with some areas experiencing severe downpours. Local accumulations could reach 200 millimeters, so there's a need to be cautious about the occurrence of floods. In recent days, Typhoon Ray made landfall along the coast of Fujian, China, bringing abundant moisture to northern China, resulting in severe heavy rainfall and serious flooding in Beijing, Beihai, Heilongjiang, and other regions. The northeastern area has been hit hard, with numerous casualties, both human and livestock. Displaced residents, collapsed houses, and damaged farmlands have led to significant economic losses. Currently, the floods have not completely subsided, and in the next few days, the region will face the impact of Typhoon Kanu, undoubtedly worsening the situation and causing deep concerns among the Chinese population. Flood devastation. 800,000 catties of fish dead in Hebei. Continuous heavy rainfall has led to severe flooding in the county-level city of Zuozu, under Baoding City in Hebei Province. A local fishery company in Zhuzhou has suffered greatly, with around 800,000 pounds of fish dying due to the floods. The dead fish have piled up and need urgent cleaning, but the strong odor is deterring anyone from taking on the task. According to a report by Extreme Vision News, the fishery farm is located in Shiqiao Village, Beishigangguan Town, Zhuzhou City. The farm covers nearly 100 acres and breeds various fish species, including yellowfish and sturgeon, totaling about 800,000 pounds. Many of these fish have been bred for years and used for breeding purposes. Since the flooding hit Zhuzhou, all the fish on Mr. Q's farm have been killed by the floodwaters. A large portion of the fish have been washed away by the flood, and the remaining ones are being collected by over 20 workers on the farm. It's estimated that even with their efforts, it will take around 10 days to finish collecting, said Mr. Kui. He added that the entire farm was submerged by the flood, resulting in an estimated loss of tens of millions of Chinese yuan. Mr. Q reported the destruction of his fishery to local government authorities after the flood. He mentioned that a professional organization will handle the safe disposal of the dead fish. Currently, the main challenge faced by the farm is the lack of manpower to collect the dead fish. The fish started to smell bad on the 4th day after the flood. If not dealt with, the smell will only get worse, causing pollution to the environment and potentially triggering diseases, Mr. Qi explained. A staff member from the Agricultural Bureau of Zuozu City responded, saying that since the 3rd day, they have issued notifications to various aquaculture and fisheries enterprises to conduct assessments and plan for the next steps. There are too many affected people. We are working tirelessly to deal with the dead cattle and sheep and are unable to provide manpower assistance, the staff member added. China faces bizarre weather phenomena, devil clouds and blue sun intrigue. In recent days, mainland China has experienced a series of natural disasters and man-made calamities. Floods have struck Beijing, Hebei, and Heilongjiang, while an earthquake shook Shandong. Today, August 6, a video capturing a city under a shroud of black clouds in Shaanxi went viral on social media. According to reports from mainland media, on August 6, a netizen in Datong, Shaanxi, recorded a real-life city covered by black cloud scenario, where storm clouds swiftly moved, shrouding the city in darkness. Some netizens even expressed that they were too afraid to go to work. Unusual phenomenon. Devil clouds appear in Henan not long ago, on the afternoon of July 25. A similar phenomenon occurred over Jingzhou and Anyang in Henan, where ominous black clouds gathered, giving the impression of a city being engulfed by darkness. Photos shared by netizens depicted the black clouds resembling a group of devilish faces with sinister grins. Local residents commented, "1 minute, the city was about to be crushed by the black clouds, and the next minute the sky turned green." On that day, Zhengzhou also witnessed a similar occurrence of devil clouds. On the afternoon of July 25, Zhengzhou suddenly became covered in dense black clouds, creating a sense of a city being overwhelmed, accompanied by strong winds, and the sky darkened instantly. Local netizens remarked, "It felt like the arrival of doomsday." This strange phenomenon is not the only one. This year, the most powerful sandstorm swept through several cities, including Beijing, Inner Mongolia, and Xinjiang. China's National Forestry and Grassland Administration stated that since March, China has experienced 4 sand and dust weather processes, including 2 instances of floating sand, 1 sandstorm, and 1 severe sandstorm. This is more frequent than the same period last year, 2 instances, and the average of the past 20 years, 3.3 instances. The severe sand and dust weather has affected approximately 560 million people. When Beijing residents woke up, they noticed a dusty smell in the air. The meteorological department issued blue wind warnings and yellow sandstorm warnings in the morning. In Pyongyang district, visibility was severely reduced due to the sand and dust, causing the sky to turn a dusky yellow. Looking up, people even saw the sun appear blue. Many netizens posted on social media, expressing concerns about this unusual scene, possibly indicating something significant.
China's economy in turmoil. Biden will order restrictions on investment in China next week. U.S. President Biden is expected to issue a long-awaited executive order next week to screen investments in sensitive Chinese technology. As China's economy faces uncertainties, the reduction of foreign investment will have significant implications. According to Reuters, informed sources revealed that Biden is set to release the highly anticipated executive order early next week. The order aims to curb the acceleration of U.S. capital and expertise contributing to China's military development, posing a threat to U.S. national security. This executive order is expected to target joint ventures in China's semiconductor, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence sectors that involve U.S. private equity and venture capital. Most of the investments covered by this order will require government notification, and some transactions will subsequently be prohibited. Former U.S. Department of Commerce official Cordell Hull commented, "It fills in gaps in our existing system. We prohibit the export of technology. We have restrictions on inbound investment. This will help address issues of capital and technology and allow the government to understand these capital flows." Emily Kilcrease, former U.S. official responsible for China investment policy, stated that the U.S. has been attempting to define the scope of artificial intelligence applications and aims to control overseas investment by U.S. individuals and companies. This executive order is an important step in establishing a U.S. oversight system to screen transactions of national interest and is expected to expand promptly. She also indicated that Washington should be prepared for potential retaliation from Beijing. We should anticipate that. Last week, the U.S. Senate approved a pending amendment on foreign investment in a separate defense policy bill. This potential legislation requires notifications for certain foreign investments, but it does not include any bans. I've long urged the Biden administration to take executive action to review investments made in concerning countries such as China. Senator Bob Casey, co-sponsor of the amendment, stated in a statement on August 4. He expressed that the order would be supported by the amendment to the Foreign Investment Transparency Act. A report by the Wall Street Journal on August 5 highlighted China's sluggish economic recovery, declining stock market valuations, and increasing reluctance of international investors to allocate funds to Chinese assets, creating obstacles for major private equity firms focusing on China. The private equity funds focusing on the Chinese market, which once boasted substantial returns, are now facing challenges. The dollar financing for private equity investments, primarily focused on China, has almost dried up. The difficulty for Chinese companies to list in Hong Kong and the U.S. has restricted exit strategies for many private equity funds. The returns of Chinese funds in the past 2 years have also disappointed investors. Many factors indicate that the Biden administration is preparing an executive order seeking to curb venture capital and private equity investments in China and some other countries. The U.S. State Department has also requested U.S. university endowment funds to disclose and divest from Chinese assets, many of which were significant contributors to private equity investment funds with a focus on China. As China's economy faces uncertainties, The reduction of foreign investment will have significant implications. Disaster-affected people in Dingxing County, Hebei Province were violently suppressed by special police for defending their rights. Due to flood discharge measures in Beijing and Xi'an by the Chinese Communist Party CPO, several areas have experienced severe flooding. Residents of Dingxing County protested in front of the county government seeking justice but were suppressed by riot police. Related videos on mainland Chinese websites have been blocked, leaving only footage of county officials making promises to the flood victims. On August 6th, a large number of riot police in black attire and police in blue uniforms rushed out from the entrance of Dingxing County government. They subdued and arrested some protesting residents, causing chaos among the flood victims. Local flood victims shared their stories. Our homes were flooded by water released from 4 reservoirs simultaneously. This is not a natural disaster. To protect Zhangjian, Baigu deliberately flooded our hometown by blasting the dike open and letting water into the village. We just want an explanation. Most of the protest videos are deleted. Only a few videos showing protesting flood victims, loudly questioning the officials. Why did you deceive us? You said you wouldn't release water, and then you did. Why did you deceive us? The flood victims also accused the officials of not taking necessary measures to reduce their losses. Right now, the preserving videos only show the part where the government makes promises, and the people unanimously praise the wonderful government. According to state media reports on August 4th, Hebei Province had activated the Langgu flood detention area within Dingxing County. This detention area covers an area of 88 square kilometers and affects 5 towns, 49 villages, and 76,309 people. On August 5th, official media reported that a man in the flood discharge area of Dingxing County was stranded on a floating board in a cornfield for some time and was later rescued by a rescue team. This positive news report did not mention the number of casualties in the local area. This is the peak of CCP's propaganda. The CCP suddenly controls the export of drones with sinister intentions. The Chinese Communist Party, as CCP, have recently announced an abrupt and high-profile strengthening of export controls on certain higher-performance drones and related equipment. Could there be undisclosed motives behind this move? Let's hear from experts. On July 31st, the CCP's Ministry of Commerce, General Administration of Customs, State Administration for Science, Technology, issued 2 notices regarding export controls on drones. These announcements outline the implementation of export controls on certain specialized drone engines, critical payloads, wireless communication equipment, and civil anti-drone systems. Temporary export controls for 2 years were placed on certain consumer-grade drones, while the export of all other civilian drones not covered by the controls for military purposes was prohibited. These new regulations will take effect from September 1st. Xu Xiaohuang, deputy researcher at the Taiwan Institute for National Defense and Security Studies, pointed out perhaps this is due to international pressure preventing the provision of equipment related to combat to both sides, Russia and Ukraine. China is the largest producer of drones. Su Ziyun, director of the Institute for Defense Strategy and Resources at the same institute, mentioned that based on customs documents, these regulations likely pertain to drones that could have stronger military applications. For instance, drones with propeller power exceeding 16 kilowatts could potentially carry bombs. Therefore, these regulations could be aimed at avoiding involvement in Russia's aggression and preventing Ukraine from acquiring industrial and military drones. Recent reports have consistently exposed the CCP's substantial aid to Russian drones. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence in the United States released a report on July 27th, stating that after the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war, China provided more technological products and equipment to Russia. In March of this year, China supplied drones and accessories worth over $12 million to Russia. However, the CCP has consistently denied such claims. Radio Free Asia pointed out that the latest CCP regulations cover many drone models currently being used by both Russia and Ukraine on the battlefield. The Ministry of Commerce of the CCP specifically pointed out that export controls do not mean prohibition, and they support compliant exports by companies. Experts believe that the CCP won't truly enforce the restrictions on Russia, but will instead limit Ukraine's procurement. After the CCP issued the announcement, Border traders and transportation companies from China and Russia reportedly told the media that they could easily bribe customs officials to directly transport military-grade drones to Russia. And that is today's episode. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and ring a bell to get notification. Thank you for watching and see you next time.